Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alright, we're live, and as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more game logic in Unreal Engine 5 in C++. And that's last stream I did work on the logic where I went ahead and summoned, I think like multiple cubes on my window, but then I could not actually destroy them. I was like trying to work on destroying them, that stuff. So I'm going to be actually working on that today, and if I had time by the end of the stream, I will be working on like different logic as well. For example, giving some other abilities to my player, not just destroying a cube. And later on, maybe I think like from next week on, I'm gonna start working with like UIs, which is basically Unreal Engine's graphics. If that makes any sense. That's let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go. Again, guys, this is like a chat from a very long time because I did not actually use Claude for that long, and like for the past few days, I haven't been using like Claude, Gemini, or ChatGPT. I've been like working through my. Actually, I've been working on studying the old codes I wrote, so I was using the old codes or my old programs as a reference. That said, let's say something like, let's say live exclamation. Okay, that said, I worked on, let's say something like, I worked on summoning, let's go with something like summoning an object yesterday. Okay, but I don't know how to destroy that object at will. ... Can you teach me how to destroy it? I do know that I need to use the destroy function, but I don't know how ... Okay, do you want me to send you my source code, or is it pretty easy to destroy objects? And guys, if I can't talk properly right now, that is because I'm not warmed up just yet. That's it, let's go ahead and send this real quick. And I just realized that I gotta literally hit the send button instead of pressing enter in the keyboard for Claude. That's kind of annoying, but I feel like Claude does more than compensate for it with the source code that it gives. Alright, you're live. Let's talk about destroying objects. You're right, there is a destroy function, but you need to understand how and when to use it properly. Before I teach you, answer this. What do you destroy? Option A, destroy a specific object you summon, like destroy last Lisa I summoned. Guys, if you guys don't know what Lisa here is, like, I think like 3 or 4 streams ago, I did work on actually summoning an object. One was actually boss, the other was Lisa, where the boss was more like a pixelated mesh and Lisa was more like a 3D mesh, if that makes any sense. That said, and guys, I don't know why these past few days I started I was preferring to say, if that makes any sense. I think like I should stop saying that. Okay, that's it. To destroy an actor in Unreal Engine 5, you call actor pointer, which points towards destroy. I see. But you need a pointer reference to that actor. The problem was beginners face, they spawn something, but don't save the reference, so they can't destroy it later. Okay, so basically I just gotta have a pointer and then point, for example, my let's say summon, what was the object that I was trying to summon? I think my summon meat, I should like go ahead and represent the summon meats, this pointer that I created here. Somewhere right here in my header files. Right, I have a summon action. Okay, my summon meat is not a pointer, it's a local variable. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and read rest of the instructions as well, or explanation. Okay, so here's my question. When you spawn Lisa / boss, are you storing the reference to them like this? For example, a Lisa is going to be represented by pointer called something like spawn Lisa, which is going to be equal to world, which points towards spawn actor a Lisa, etc. Okay, I do this, but then I do it like with the subclass of this template, not like my spawn actors template. I use my spawn actor to actually spawn something on my window, because I did use this thing in my C++ file. Alright guys, let me show it to you guys. There we go, in my summon function. So my world pointed towards summon actor, which had a pair of ankle braces that required my meets class, and then I went to the pair of parentheses, gave my spawn location, spawn rotation, and the object that I wanted to summon. Okay, and then I just added a basic G engine add-on screen debug message. I might really copy this. And then let's go to Claude, let's paste this and say something like, let's go with something like, this is my C++ file. Okay, let's go with something like C++ file for my character. not the character that I want to summon. Do you want me to send you all my source codes, or just the C++ would suffice? Let's see. And guys, it's so annoying. Gotta literally like click the send icon here instead of hitting enter to like send a message. That is very tedious. Okay, perfect. I see the problem immediately. Look at line 126 to 129. Boolean is backspace pressed. Destroy. You're destroying Alex, or player character, not the meat. And on line 118, you spawn the meat, but you don't save the reference. Okay, you lost the pointer, you can destroy it later. Here's what you need to do. Step 1, store the spawn meat reference. Wait, have you tried VLang already? Honestly, I did not try VLang yet, but I will actually try VLang, or like maybe have a mini series after the series to like actually work on VLang, because you have been saying that to me for like a long time now. Okay, let's see. So step 2, save the reference when you spawn. Okay, actually, I think that I kind of understand how this works now. Although I might want to confirm that before I actually get to a conclusion. Let's see. In your header file, alex.h, add this variable. So private UPROPERTY, my meat is going to be represented by a pointer called spawn meat. Store reference to the spawned meat. Step 2, save the reference. Okay, then you spawn, so change in Alex to C++ spawned meat. Okay, so is the D subclass of invalid here in that case? Because I do remember that we do usually need that stuff. Okay, if backspace is pressed and spawn meat does exist, if they're not equal to null, then spawn meat points towards the destroy function, spawn meat equals to null PDR. G-engine add-on screen debug message, fcolor, meat has been destroyed. But here's the thing, I got a question. So if I were to copy my header files here, let's go with Control-A, Control-C, copy that. Let's go ahead and grab plot up here again. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say something like sensei. I see ... but that raises another question. If I go with, let's say something like, what was my character called again? I kind of forgot. Hold up, guys. Let me scroll all the way up here. Kind of lazy. It's gonna be much easier if I go like this. Okay, it's called Alex. So let's go ahead and get my get plot back up here. Let's see. So if I go with something like my a meat is going to be represented by pointer. A meat, which is going to be represented by pointer, called something like summon meat. Let's go with something like summon meat. Then what would I do with my T subclass of sys template question mark? I thought that we use that template when we want to summon a object, into UE5. But if I just get the pointers as reference, would that be the same question mark? Okay, this one, and guys, one really annoying thing, I gotta every time click the send button, like literally. That's kind of annoying, but let's see. Excellent question, you're thinking critically, I like it. No, don't change the subclass of summon meat. You need both. They serve different purposes. That makes so much more sense now. Let me explain the difference. The subclass of, which has a meat inside method of ankle braces and is represented by a local variable called summon meat, what you already have. This is blueprint class you select in the editor. It's the template of what to spawn. This is the blueprint class you select in the editor. It's the template of what to spawn. I think I see. Think of it as the recipe for making the meat. You set the Unreal's editor by choosing which blueprint to spawn. A meat spawn, what you need to add. This is a pointer to the actual spawn instance. It's the specific meat that exists in the world right now. Think of it as tackling their meat you already made. You can use this to destroy, move, or modify that specific meat. That makes more sense now. Okay, so analogy, T subclass of sys template, the cookie cutter, okay, the template slash class, a meat, the actual cookie, the instance. Okay, so your header should have both, so store pointer to the actual spawned meat. Okay, I guess let's try that. So I'm going to scroll all the way up here till my T subclass of. I'm going to go ahead and add a comment here that says something like store pointer. towards the instance of my meat. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and store a pointer towards the instance of my meat. To do that, I'm gonna go with something like UPROPERTY. And here's the thing: what were the parameters given to the UPROPERTY? There were no parameters, no edit anywhere, no category, no summoning, just a raw pointer. Okay. I've actually never used a UPROPERTY without any kind of parameters given to it, so this is something new. Might have to ask what it means. Okay, so I'm gonna actually not what it means, what it does. That said, I'm gonna go with something like a meat, which is going to be represented by a pointer. A meat, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like summon meat. There are two summon meats. Let's go with something like summon meat instance. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now let's hit control. Let's just save the code, go with control Control C. I'm going to go ahead and open, actually get plot up here. Are you ever going to learn Linux? It's valuable for every dev kind. Honestly, when I actually did build my PC, which you guys can actually watch that video, it's like in my channel, that said, I was confused between Windows and Linux, but I was like in a rush, so I did go with Windows. Eventually, I might really have a separate series where I do try Linux, but for the time being, I am like working on Windows to like learn the basics, if that makes any sense. Okay, and guys, I should actually stop saying if that makes any sense. I've been saying that so much for the past few streams. Let's say something like Sensei. Okay, I had a question. So, why do we not have any parameters on the UPROPERTY question mark? Okay, I know what it might mean, but I have never used a UPROPERTY without any parameters. Guys, I gotta kind of fix my typo. There we go. Okay, let's see. Great observation. You're paying attention to the details. UPROPERTY with no parameters is totally valid. Let me explain. UPROPERTY tells Unreal Engine's reflection system, hey, that variable is part of the Unreal Engine's memory management system. Don't let it get garbage collected. Actually, in one of my college courses, I did learn about garbage in, garbage out, but I think that's like for validations, or like, yeah, I think for input validations to check if the input is correct. I think these are like two separate topics. Even with no parameters, it does important things. Prevents garbage collection. Unreal won't detect the object with this pointer exists. Okay, won't delete the object while this pointer exists. Manage the safety part. Unreal's object lifetime system allows serialization. Can be saved/loaded properly. I think I see. Unreal won't delete the object while this pointer exists. Manage memory safety. Part of Unreal's lifetime systems allows serialization. I think I see. Okay, different between Unreal's property and parameters. I did like have an entire formula sheet for this to memorize what each does. Where edit anywhere, you can edit it in the editor, blueprints or details panel. Visible anywhere, you can see it in the editor but not edit it. I see. Blueprint read only, blueprint can read but not write. UPROPERTY, just basic Unreal's memory management, no editor visibility. I see. Why we use empty UPROPERTY is summon meets as instance. Okay, I think I see. Now, if I were to like scroll all the way up here, there was like a whole different section here. So, instead of what I've done before, okay, change line 126 to this. So, I check if my backspace is currently being pushed and my meat spawn is, which in this case, this is my meat spawns as instance, is not null. If it's not null, my spawn meat points towards destroy, so I want to destroy the object that I summoned in my Unreal Engine's window. Then my spawn meat is going to be set to null PDR, clear the pointer, so we don't destroy it again. I think Cloud thinks I'm trying to destroy one meat at a time, but let's see what it does. I just want to kind of play around with this real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go to my header files real quick. In my header files, I created my pointer towards the instance of my meat. I've stored my meat. So I'm going to go to my C++ file, and in my C++ file, under my if statement, I'm going to go ahead and check. After I get these objects, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to check if my backspace is pressed, and my, let's go with something like summon meat instance. Okay, and my summon meat instance is not equal to null PDR. if my summon meat instance was not null, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and fix my typo. Next up, I'm not just gonna destroy, I'm gonna actually specify what I want to destroy. In this case, I want to go ahead and destroy my summon meat instance. So I'm gonna point that pointer towards the destroy function. And then once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and set my summon meat instance's pointer to be equal to null PDR. Because I destroyed something, now there is nothing else to be destroyed because my instance from my Unreal Engine's level has disappeared, if that makes any sense. Guys, I should stop saying if that makes any sense. I keep saying that so much these days. And just to save some time, I'm gonna go ahead and copy my G-Engine add-on screen debug message. What this basically does is it displays something on my Unreal's window or my Unreal's level where I want my color to be black when I destroy something. Meat has been destroyed. Okay, now let's test it out. C-S-T-R-O-Y-E-D. There. Okay, let's hit Control S to save the code, Control S to save the code. I'm gonna go ahead and run my program now. Let's wait for it to compile real quick. Okay. Okay, 1 out of 6. It usually takes a bit longer when we first run the program, but then once the first compilation is over, the compiling gets pretty easy. For example, we got our Unreal Engine here. Let's wait for it to open now. It does say results succeeded, so that's a good thing. Okay, and now apparently I should be able to spawn my meat when I click M and destroy it when I click backspace. Okay, let's click my... I opened Blender, my mistake. What up guys, let me kind of exit Blender. There. Okay, then I'm gonna go with something like yes, remember my choices. Let's go all the way up here, whoops. There we go, let's kind of get this up here. Now, I'm gonna go to my Unreal, my Untitled project. And then let's go to content. In my content, I'm gonna go ahead and click my new map. In my new map, I'm gonna go ahead and run my map. And this was the project that I worked on last stream, which was technically yesterday, where every time I clicked M in my keyboard, I spawned a meat based on where I'm facing. So my object that I summon is 300 units away from my actual Lisa's mesh. If I look up and I summon, my direction, my meat is going to be pointing downwards. In the other hand, if I look down and I summon, my meat is... Did I not summon? There we go, my meat is going to be looking upwards. Now, the moment of truth, what happens if I click backspace? Probably nothing. I think long story, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go to my details panel here real quick. Let's click my Alex's instance. And then in my details panel, I'm gonna go ahead and look for input. So let's go with something like input and kind of check if I added my backspace input here. I do have my backspace action. Okay, then I'm gonna go to my content drawer. And then do I have an IA underscore backspace? I do. So the third thing, I'm gonna go to my IMC default. In my IMC default, do I have a backspace action? I do not have a backspace action. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new input action for IA underscore backspace, which is going to be initiated when I click backspace on my keyboard. Now let's go ahead and click Ctrl Alt F11. Okay, let's wait for this to compile. While it's compiling, I'm going to kind of get this back here. And guys, is it just me? Or did the Unreal Engine's weather kind of change? I've never seen Unreal Engine's weather change, to be honest. Okay, but the compilation is done, so let's run the program. Okay, I'm gonna click M to spawn a meat. Backspace, but the meat does not get deleted. Maybe I gotta try raycasting if that makes any sense. Let's go with M's. Okay, my meat still spawns, but backspace does not work. Wait, did I bind my backspace action? Hold up, let me check that real quick. I did bind my backspace action, but it does not work. So let's go with Control A, Control C. Let's go ahead and grab plot here real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and paste it. And then I'm gonna go to my header files, Control A, Control C. Get my plot up here again, paste it. Now I'm gonna go to Pen and say something like, say I can summon as many meats as I want in my level. Actually, in doesn't make sense. I'm gonna go with on my level. And this is gonna be want. Guys, I am like working on my typos. Meets, okay, on my level. Although I've created a backspace action and a, let's go with something like, although I've created a backspace action and a UPROPERTY for my backspace and linked them in my details panel and my IMC underscore default. I cannot destroy a mesh when I click a backspace. Okay, let's see. And guys, what annoying thing! I gotta always click the send button instead of enter. I wonder if there's some kind of settings that would actually get my enter to work. Speaking of which, I see the problem. Look at the line 127 in our C++. World spawn, I see. You guys might be thinking, what did I just see? Okay, my memory just jogged itself real quick. I'm gonna copy my summon meet instance. Now, when I go ahead and spawn someone, I'm gonna go ahead and set it to be control V. This is gonna be my meet. That is gonna be equal to my world. Now let's hit control S to save the code. Let's try compiling. Guys, what's wrong with the weather in Unreal Engine? Last I checked, it was like a pretty good sky. Like, it was like pretty nice sky. What happened to the darkness here? Okay, let's run the code. If I did something like emit spawns. Okay, backspace still doesn't work. I just wanted to confirm. I just wanted to check if that works. Since it does not, let's go ahead and open my Claude again, or let's open Claude. You're not saving the reference. So summon meet instance equals to world. Okay, I just did that. But what's happening? Before you spawn meet, summon meet instance stays null PDR because you never assigned it after. After you spawn meet and save the pointer to summon meet instance, and now you press backspace, check if summon meet is not equal to null PDR. True. Okay. Calls meet. Important note right now, this will only track one meet at a time. What happens? Okay, what happens now? M spawn meets number 1 pointer save, press M again, overrides the pointer, loses reference to pointer 1. So I think I might need an array or a vector to save that stuff. Press backspace, which points towards only destroy meet number 2. Is this what you want, or do you want to destroy all meets? I want to destroy all meets, but one at a time. Okay, if that makes any sense. That said, let's go with something like that. And guys, I gotta like stop saying that makes any sense. Like, before I used to, like, if you guys watched my old stream from like 3 or 4, I think 5 months ago, I used to actually say a lot of honestly's, and then many of you guys got like in the chat were like, why do I keep saying honestly? I'm one of the most honest guys on the planet Earth. But then I'm like, I keep saying, like, when I actually hear a thing and I just kind of get stuck to that, gotta kind of chase that up. I feel like if that makes sense, sounds kind of annoying these days. That said, let's go with something like I did try and change the line 127, but it still does not delete a meet. Okay, it might not delete a meet unless I try summoning or try loading in one meet and deleting that, if that makes sense. Guys, I'm not gonna say if that makes any sense anymore. Okay, let's try to live compile. I'm gonna go with Control Alt F11. What I'm actually trying to see here is that if I summon one meet, can it really destroy that one meet? Let's see. So I'm gonna go with M, backspace. Okay, backspace does not work, so I might need to eventually try raycasting so I really know which way I'm pointing towards, but that does usually happen in like FPS games. This is just like a general stuff, I think. Okay, wait, destroy all meets but one at a time. That doesn't make sense. Destroy all meets but one at a time. Let me clarify. Guys, that does not make any sense. You know what, I think that if that makes any sense, start to actually make some sense now. Okay, let me clarify what you mean. Option A, press backspace, 1, destroy all meets as 1. Press B multiple times. Each press destroys one meet. I'm going with option B. Option C, press backspace, destroy the closest meet to you. Which one? Okay, change your summon function to this. Unveils world. I get my world, get my actor, do that. So the instance goes inside my summon function. Wait, editor, meet spawned. Okay. White function, it begins there. So this goes in my white function. Okay. If my backspace is pressed, debug to check if pointer exists. By the way, on Claude, you can change mode. invite lowercase corner sonnet 4.6. Oh, I actually did not know I could change it, but it says, oh, I can use Haku 4.5, is that how I pronounce it, and sonnet 4.6. I did not really know that. Wait, where's my chat? Did I lose my chat? What if I go to 4.5 again? Okay, well, I don't see. Oh, I see 4.5. There we go. Extend thinking. Think longer for complex tasks. Alright, guys, I've officially lost my chat. I think I've got to figure this out. I mean, I think I actually kind of did already figure it out. So, inside my initial function, I'm going to go ahead and check if this is set to true. If my backspace was being pressed, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go with something like if a pair of parentheses. I'm gonna go with something like if my summon meets this instance is not equal to null PDR. Alright guys, I kinda changed my mind. I might need my chat. Okay, let's try to find it if my chat is saved in my memory. Mastery, C++, ability, chasing. There, let's see. What if I were to scroll all the way down? Okay, so my chat was saved, but this is like sonnet 4.5. I might try changing the chat in a bit though once I'm done with this. Debug, check if summon instance is not equal to null PDR. If it isn't, I do that, then I destroy my meat. If it's not, destroying meat. And then meat has been destroyed. Wait. Does order is like, I thought that C++ was not a was not like a sequence type stuff. I forgot how to phrase that. Like in Python, there's like a sequence structure, decision structures. Like in C++, I thought if we add our contents in any kind of positions, then it's gonna go. I don't know what I want to say, guys. I thought that it's like, I can't phrase it. Basically, what sequence structure does is that my first code, the code at the above, it executes first, then the code below it executes, and the code below it executes. But I thought in C++, if I change the code in the bottom, it changed the value of the code from the top as well. Okay, I mean, I could try this. Let's go ahead and try this real quick. Else, no me destroyed. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this thing, add on screen debug message, then I want to add an else. First, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, delete this from here, kind of paste this here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and let's say delete that. Go with an else clause. I'm gonna go with something like else. Else a pair of curly braces. Whoops. Else I want to go with a pair of curly braces. What if I go with a pair of curly braces? And then there. Excuse me, guys. Okay, in my pair of curly braces, I'm gonna go ahead and add a add-on-screen debug message just to check if my backspace action really works. Wait, Control Z, Control Shift Z. Wanna go ahead and Control C. Let's go ahead and paste this here. Why do I keep pressing the wrong buttons? There we go. Okay, now for my G engine add-on screen debug message, I'm gonna firstly click tab to like indent it inside, and then I'm gonna say something like meat has not been destroyed, just to see if it really works. This is why people actually call it a debug message. Okay, why do I see a red audio line here? Maybe because I have an extra pair of curly braces up there. There we go. Now let's hit Control S to save the code. If I open my Unreal Engine and hit something like Control Alt F11 to compile the code, let's wait for it to compile. Shouldn't take that long. There we go. Once it's done compiling, I'm gonna go ahead and just run the program. So let's go ahead and exit this, run the program. Now, if I were to hit something like M, it says a meat has been spawned. If I click backspace, it does not like literally say anything, which could only mean one thing. That's basically my backspace action is not really being registered in my Unreal Engine. Why could that be? I see an else. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go with Control A, Control C. Let's get Cloud back up here. Let's go ahead and face this. Go to and see something like some say. Even though I added an else clause to check if my meat was not destroyed. Okay, I don't see that add-on screen debug message dot dot dot. Is my input even being registered, question mark? Okay, let's see. It might be that my input is honestly not being registered for some reason. Although I did everything that I had to, unless backspace cannot be registered as an input. Gotta fact check that part though. Wait, look at your code. Line 144, line 145. You're destroying it twice. It does not even destroy once. You're calling destroy twice, deletes 147, 148, but that's not the main issue here. The rare letter problem input isn't being registered. Look at line 183. So when I bind, this means summon only runs when you press the key while not holding it, but inside summon you're checking if B is pressed. Should it be triggered? Your summon is probably mapped to a different key, maybe space E, but you're checking if B is being pressed. M key and B is pressed, backspace inside it. Huh. Look at your input mapping context in Unreal Engine. What key is summon mapped to? Summon is mapped to M. Okay, let's go with something like summon is mapped to the M key, and I also have a individual M key in general. Okay, let's see, because my summon is like mapped with like the N key plus my regular. Let me just show you guys. It's going to be much easier than tracing it. So for example, I have a summon function and a M function, both initiate when I click M in my keyboard. Okay, how doing Dixil? I appreciate you joining the stream. Wait, is that how I pronounce her name? Dikshil. Yeah, I think it's Dixil. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and get Claude back up here. Now, here's your problem. You have two different input actions, both mapped to the M key. Summon action M, M action M. They're conflicting with each other. Here's what's happening. When you press M, M triggers, sets B is impressed to be true. Summon action triggers, called summon function. Okay, inside the summon function, it checks if boolean of M is pressed is true, meet spawns. It checks if backspace is pressed false. You didn't press backspace yet. When you press backspace, backspace triggers sets backspace pressed to be true, but summon action never gets called. So the summon function never runs. So destroy code never exists. Fix. You have two options. Option 1, call the summon function in the tick every frame, remove the summon action. I mean this, it's definitely an option to call the summon function in tick, but I don't really like adding much content in the tick because it eventually makes the program really heavy. So it's best to like add as little code as we can in the tick, unless it's like really important to add them. In Alex's header file, void summon meets, blah blah. Option 2, create separate functions. This is what I might do. Create two separate functions and bind them directly. Spawn meet, which is basically my summon function, destroy meet. Okay, in Alex's spawn meet, I get world, I get my actor, I get my rotation, I go ahead and spawn my meet on my window, and then I go with something like meet spawn. In the destroy function, I go ahead and check if my meet's instance is not null. If it isn't null, I destroy it, and then I do that, blah blah. And then in the setup layer input, bind action, M action is going to be pointed towards spawn meet. Backspace action is going to be pointed towards destroy meet. Okay, I might go with a destroy meet function. Let's try that. Because doing so would like put less strain in my take function, which actually executes every single frame, every single frame while the program is running, if that makes any sense. It makes sense, guys. I should stop saying if that makes any sense. Let's go with something like destroy meet. Destroy summon. Okay, for now it's just going to be one summon, so I could just go with a broad name called destroy summon. Eventually, when I'm going to be having much detailed there we go, guys. The brain blank comes again. This was what I was talking about what I was telling you guys last stream, that because I've been memorizing a lot of stuff recently with my college and my streaming aside, Actually, I think with my college history included, it's like when I try to recall something, my brain just goes blank and I forget what I want to say. But what I was actually gonna say is that right now I kept a pretty broad name called Destroy Summon because I will just be working with summoning a meat. Later on, when I have something like potions, let's say drops, weapons, and all those things, I might have different destroy functions where if I click a certain button, I want to either pick my gun up, I want to either collect my loot, or I want to kind of consume my meals, if that makes any sense. Depending on which action I do, it's gonna go ahead and trigger some other function that's either gonna add my weapon to my inventory, increase my health, or increase my, let's say, should I say gold collection because I collected some kind of loots, if that makes any sense. That's let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now that I've declared this function, I'm gonna go ahead and define it in my C++ file, where I'm gonna firstly go ahead and start off by, let's say, going all the way down here. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of copy this. Let's go ahead and copy this if statement from here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. And let's go under it. I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment that says something like destroy summon function. So this is gonna be a function that I'm gonna go ahead and define, which was declared in my header files to destroy my actual summons. The name is pretty like self-explanatory. So I'm gonna go with something like a Alex's class, or maybe I'm gonna go with something like void a Alex. From my a Alex's class, I'm gonna use a scope resolution operator to point towards my destroy summons this function with a pair of parentheses and then a pair of curly braces. Now here's the thing, did I spell it wrong? D-E-S-T-R-O-Y. D-E-S-T-R-O-Y. Destroy summon. D-E-S-T-R-O-Y S-U-M-M-O-N. S-U-M-M-O-N. Okay, this might be my Visual Studio's editor that's actually messing with me. I might still copy this to be safe. And then let's go ahead and paste it here. Okay, it was not a typo, so it's just my Visual Studio. Now, once I'm done with that, I went up ahead and I checked if my backspace is being pressed, if my summon meat is not null PDR, then I'm gonna just go ahead and delete my meat once. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna destroy my meat. I'm gonna remove it from the pointer. I'm gonna display add-on string debug message. Else, if my meat was not destroyed, I'm gonna add another debug message saying the meat has not been destroyed. And then let's hit Control S to save the code. Now I'm gonna go ahead and bind my function up here real quick. So I'm gonna go with something like enhanced input component, which points towards a bind action. Okay, where I want to go ahead and bind a action. What action do I want to bind? Let's think. I think it should be my backspace action. Yeah, I'm gonna delete this. This is gonna be pressed. That is gonna be released. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like a destroy action as well. So I go with something like bind summon action. Bind destroy. There, I'm gonna bind my destroy summon action, where I'm gonna go with enhance input component that points towards bind action. I'm gonna go with something like summon action. There, and then I'm going to be requiring a e-trigger event as well. So my trigger event is going to be started. So I'm going to go with something like e-trigger event. Okay, what are you making though? Honestly, I'm working on summoning objects and also destroying them and clicking a specific button. Later on, this is like the very basics for now. Later on, I'm going to go ahead and work on a logic where you use raycasting to like hit a target that eventually I'm going to be having maybe movable targets who try aiming at me using raycasting and I aim at them using raycasting. Whichever one of us loses our health first, they kind of, let's say, get destroyed. Okay, guys, that was, I think I phrased that pretty good. Let's go with something like started. Okay, so if my destroy summon action, let's go with something like destroy summon action has been started on this object, I want to do what this function tells me to do. Alex says destroy D-S-T-R-O-Y. I'm going to go with destroy summon action tells me to do. And then I'm going to go ahead and maybe just copy my function name because I think that I messed up with my spelling. There. Okay, perfect. Then let's end this with a semicolon. Now, the reason I say red underline up here in my destroy summon action is because in my header files, I did not really create a U property or a input action for my destroy summon action. So instead, I might really go with something like a backspace. Let's go with something like backspace because I want my destroy action to be executed once I click backspace. Backspace action. Here's the thing. Let's bring Claude back up here. It is backspace. That is M actions. M to speed. M to spawn meet action. That is going to be spawn meet, which is going to be summon and pressed and release. Okay, I think that's good. Now let's hit Control S to save the code. I'm going to go ahead and get Unreal Engine up here, and then let's hit Control F11 to like compile my code. Now, once the code actually is done compiling, I should be able to destroy my objects. Fingers crossed. Actually, I mean, I'm pretty sure it should be able to destroy my objects now. Unless I forgot to add a tiny detail here, I'm going to type something like input. Just going to make sure that everything is correct. INPUT. My Alex's input. Let's go all the way down here. There we go. Everything is correct. So I can go ahead and run the program. Okay, let's run the program. Guys, I just realized I have like 90 days before the series ends. Before that, I should start working on making some environmental meshes, assets, backgrounds, maps, and all that stuff. Because this map ain't cutting it. Let's go with M. I'm going to go with... It has been deleted. Let's spawn a bunch of meats. I'm going to go with something like M. Let's delete it all. Delete it. Alright, it just deletes one meat at a time. Wait, I'm gonna go with M. Backspace. Oh, it only deletes the meat that has been currently spawned. It does not delete the meat that has already been spawned. Okay, it's progress. Let's get Claude back up here. And I understood what this means as well. So it's going to be easy to like use that logic in like different kinds of scenarios now. Let's see something like say it works exclamation. Did I type work by instinct? I want to say works. There we go. That said, it destroys. Let's go with something like destroys the meat that was spawned. SPAWNG spawns the it destroys the latest meat which was spawned and ignores the rest. Is there a way to delete all meats? Maybe by storing our pointers in an array or a vector? Perhaps. Let's see. Guys, it's so annoying. I gotta always click the send button to like send. I instinctually click enter every single time. I keep falling for the same exact thing. Exactly, now you're thinking like a real programmer. You identify the problem and the solution. TArray is the way to go. I have never heard about TArray. I was expecting the include vector like they use array using the of square brackets. That's it. Here's how we fix it. Instead of storing one meat pointer, we'll store all of them in a TArray. Step 1, change your header file, remove this line, replace it with UPROPERTY TArray meet spawns. Step 2, update your spawn function. So in my spawn function, wait, new meats. From where did I get my new meats here? Okay, spawn and add to array a meat. My array is represented by a pointer called spawn meats. Okay, my array is represented by a pointer here, which is going to be equal to all this thing that is summoned. And fun fact, I did like work a lot with like arrays and vectors, so I know what the add function does. It like adds stuff to my array. That was pretty self-explanatory, but spawn it. If new meat is not equal to null PDR, meat spawn meat dot add new meat, add to array, add on screen debug message, meat spawn total meat is gonna be in, I don't think this is a decimal format, right? I think D stands for integer. Spawn meats dot num. Okay, step 3. In the destroy, go with something like if spawn meat.num is greater than 0, that's when I want to loop through the meat. This is the first time, and when I say first time, I mean like a first time in a long time that I've used a for loop in C++ now. Ever since I started working with Unreal Engine, or I think like SDL as well. No, I think for SDL I use for loop, but ever since I worked with Unreal Engine, I've never worked with any kinds of loop, not while loop, not for loop, not nested loop, neither one of those. So this is actually kind of fun now that I'm actually getting to use loops, because I was actually getting kind of boring. I was actually getting kind of bored just working with like the basic Unreal's. Should I go with syntaxes and functions? There we go, because it's very fun to actually use loops in your program. Okay, because it makes the game have multiple different endings. But I've been working on the basic, like how to summon stuff, how to destroy stuff, how to load in this, blah blah blah. That's it. Option B, destroy one meat at a time. Okay, I want to destroy one meat at a time. Meat spawn, get the last meat. So a meat is going to be represented by a pointer called something like spawned meat. This is my array dot the last. What is the last element inside of my array? If last meat is not null period, if there was a meat at the end, I want to destroy that meat. Remove it from the array, spawn meats dot pop. Okay, I see. Destroyed meat, remaining meat, blah blah. Okay, so everything that I gotta do for the time being is firstly, I gotta go ahead and remove that and add a TArray meat spawn meats. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my header files. In my header files, I'm gonna remove this, store pointer towards the instance of my meat. I'm gonna change my comment to something like store pointer. Let's go with something like store pointer of my meats instance in an array. Okay, now to get access to my array, I'm going to firstly create a UPROPERTY, which is Unreal's property. Then I'm going to go with something like a TArray. I'm going to go with IntelliSense because I forgot the syntax. ARRAY. Okay, TArray with a prof ankle braces. Yo, hiding name, I appreciate you joining the stream. That said, I'm going to go ahead and add something like a meat, which is going to be represented by, excuse me guys, a pointer called something like meat spawns or meats. I think meats is a pretty good name, like from my array, right? I'm gonna end that with a semicolon. Or spawn meats, that makes more sense. SPAWNET, spawns meats. There we go, that makes so much more sense. Like this is the array where I stored all my spawn meats. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S to save the code, move on to my C++ file, and in my C++ file, I'm going to go under my summon function. In my summon function, once I'm done summoning my meat, I'm going to go ahead and summon meat instance. And this is going to go ahead and change. I'm going to replace this to something like spawned, SPAWNED. I'm gonna go with something like spawned meats array, which is going to be represented by a local variable by a pointer called something like new meat. The new meat that has been spawned is gonna be this. However, let's go up here. There is a small issue here. A meat is going to be represented by a local variable called new meats. Then later that new meats gets appended inside of my spawn meats. There we go. Thought something wasn't adding up here. I'm gonna go with something like a meat, which is represented by a pointer called new meat. Once I get my new meat, I'm gonna go with something like my spawned, SPAWNET meats. I'm gonna go with my spawned meats that is gonna be using the .add function to go ahead and add my new meat inside of my spawned meat. Then let's end this with a semicolon. Okay, and I don't really need to add a whole lot of specific comment telling me what this really does, because if you just look at it, you guys could actually tell what this really does. That's it. Once we're done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add in a statement to check if my new meat is not null PDR, if a meat does exist. Okay, wait, actually, I'm gonna add that if statement and then I add my add new meats. I mean, I could do that as well. Okay, update your destroyed function. You have two options. I want to go ahead and try one meat at a time. So I'm going to go with the second option that checks if I get my last meat. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to kind of fix this part. So let's go with an if statement. I'm going to click tab. I'm going to go with something like an if statement. Let's check if my new meat, if my new meat is not equal to null PDR, if it's not an empty pointer and some kind of meat does exist, or there's some kind of memory address given to this pointer, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, what I want to do is append my new meat inside of my array of spawned meats. So I'm gonna go with something like spawned, SPAWNED. I'm gonna go with something like spawned meats dot the add function. I want to go ahead and add my new meat inside of my spawn meats, ending with a semicolon. And then I could go with something like the gengine add-on screen debug message. Here's the thing. I'm gonna go here. Let's go ahead and paste this. There we go. I really want to display exactly how many meats I have, but I feel like I'm gonna do that later. Okay, that's it. Once I'm done adding my summon, now let's work on the destroy function. In my destroy function, I'm gonna go ahead and check something. Since I want to destroy one meat at a time, I'm gonna go ahead and get access to my last meat. And I feel like my blank brain actually forgot how to do that. Okay, so we've got... That's strange. I don't have my backspace checks anymore. I bet that it wouldn't like really hurt to add the backspace check. So all I gotta do is firstly add an if statement to check if my spawned meat dot num is greater than 0. If my array consists of more than 0 meats in it, I'm gonna go ahead and get the last meat in the array. So my a meats class is gonna be represented by a pointer called last meat that is going to be equal to spawn meat dot the last function. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the last element. Then I'm assuming I check if that last element does really exist. I delete my meats. If it does exist, delete the meat, correct. Then remove it from the array. I go ahead and pop it up. I don't really understand the pop logic here. I know what the pop does, like pops the meat, but then shouldn't the destroy really do that stuff? Oh no, never mind. The pop always removes one of our elements from the end of our array. So once I just destroy my meat from my level, it's still inside of my array, if that makes any sense. Until and unless I don't pop it, my memory address is still inside of my array. That makes sense. Okay, so firstly, I'm gonna go with something like if my spawned, SPAWNED, if my spawned meats, there we go, if my spawned meats is greater than 0, I'm gonna go with something like greater than 0. Spawned meats, let's kind of copy this, paste it here. Okay, should I go with num? Wait, was num a new function? Okay, I have not heard of the num function. Like back when I worked with like regular arrays as well, I've never used the num function. I think this is something just in Unreal Engine. Maybe not, fact check me on that, guys. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and use the num function. So if my spawn meets his number is more than 0, then I'm gonna go ahead and firstly get my last meat. To do that, I'm gonna go with something like my a meets class, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like last meat. That is going to be equal to my spawn meat. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, paste it here, which is going to be equal to my spawned meat dot the last function. This gets okay. This is definitely Unreal's. I don't think it's Unreal's keywords though. Here's the thing. I mean, no, I think it might be Unreal's built-in functions for like the arrays. This actual category here. Because in regular C++, I did not use num, I did not use last. What I really used was like inject. Wait, I think that might be for arrays. I mean vectors. Okay, never mind, guys. I take it back. It might be for vectors. What did I even do for arrays? I think I just like used indexes for arrays, like array at index of 0, index of 1, index of 2. I'm positive I did inject something as well. I can't really remember. I did that like I think months ago. Okay, I might have to like fact check and then I'm gonna let you guys know. Okay, that's it. So I'm gonna go with something like my last meat. This is going to be the last element in my array, which is the latest thing that I summoned on my window. That I want to go ahead and destroy. And then my last meat is going to be equal to null area. Here's the thing. I don't really know about the idea of leaving it to be null. Okay, I knew it. There was no null because like if I destroy it, I don't really want it to be empty anywhere. I want it to completely be eliminated or like eradicated from inside of my array. Although the thing that I am going to do is going to remove this. And then I'm going to go with something like my spawn meat.pop. There we go. Okay, basically what the pop function does is that I'm gonna go with spawn meats.pop. Okay, dot the pop function. Here's the thing, and like I don't remember title casing. It's either everything was lowercase. I remember like back when I learned with C++ that I do gotta fact check myself. I do not remember title casing my functions here, like how I do with last, how I do with num. Everything was lowercase. But I guess pop does work, and basically what pop does is it like removes a whole item from the last of my array. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit Control F to save the code, but I do see an else clause. Okay, maybe I might not need an else. I mean, I do need an else clause. Oh wait, my bad, guys. I added it in the wrong place. Copy. I'm gonna go ahead and pop. Okay, and then I destroy it. Else, I don't want to destroy it. Now let's hit Control S to save the code. Yo, hiding Aditya, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, and now once I'm done with this, what's the next thing that I want to do? Okay, well that's about it. There is no other binding because I've already done the binding. Now let me hit Control F11 to compile the code. Once I compile the code, apparently what should be happening is that I can summon as many meats as I want as long as I'm spamming M on my keyboard, and I can also delete them as long as I'm spamming backspace on my keyboard. If this honestly works, I think it's going to be like a huge win because I will be using this logic to, for example, create bullets to like, and then later on I will be learning raycasting. I did like have a stream on raycasting, but I didn't go in depth because I just realized how many more categories were there that I didn't actually work on. But let's test this out first before I like keep talking. Gonna spawn a bunch. Let's go with backspace, 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 backspace. It works. Backspace. Meat has not been destroyed. M. Meat has been destroyed. Okay, perfect. What if I go with M to tell? Alright, that's fun. That works. Okay, now basically what I was saying, now that I actually worked on destroying an object that I do summon on my window, later on I will be using this logic to create bullets, for example shooting different objects, and like if their HP is less than 0, I want to go ahead and destroy them, and then maybe I want to summon, let's say, some kind of maybe I want to summon a whole different character who I take his place. Although that might be a bit complex if I think about it, because both my characters would be having like different abilities unless I add the same abilities just with different kinds of health bar. Okay, that said, you're not using C++ array, you're using a TArray, a Unreal Engine's wrapper for arrays. That actually does make sense. That might be the reason why I have like the num function, the pop function, and all those functions, they're title case instead of like lowercase. Because usually for like C++, the arrays that I do use is like, go with, for example, I don't know, let's go with container. Maybe I'll go with something like an integer of container. Okay, which is going to be having a pair of square brackets that consist of, let's say, 3 elements in it. So this is basically what I do for like C++. Although it was like, it's been a while since I've like reviewed my C++ arrays because I mostly use vectors. Like when I work with SDL, all I used to do is like include vector. Let's go with something like vector, and then I included my SDL/SDL's header files, and then I also included, let's say, something like my texts. I actually kind of forgot. It's been a while since I worked with SDL. This is one thing that's so annoying. I should have made some tutorials and kept in case I wanted to get back to SDL. I will definitely be doing that for like Unreal Engine as soon as I have some time. That's it, so I'm assuming these are the very first steps of creating a game. Actually, yeah, but the worst part is I don't have good meshes or rigs. That said, every Tuesday I do like have a stream which is anything but programming, and I've so far been working on like Blender. That's where I actually worked on making 3 meshes. But soon I will be working on making maps, environmental assets, or like rigging my bodies, adding animations and all that stuff. That might be really fun, to be honest. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get Claude here. Let's say something like, let's say it works. Let's say it works! Exclamation. And guys, I think it's about time that I should start working on some other mini project, because for this project, this is all I want to do, like summon an object, destroy that object if I click a certain button. Let's say, that said, I still feel kind, let's go with something kind of rusty in this concept, so I might want to do a few more mini projects. Do you have any recommendations as to what project should I work on next? Not too similar, neither too different. Okay, because I do like know the basics of C++, I mean of Unreal Engine using C++, but I still need some hands-on practice to like work on the content that I literally think of, if that makes any sense. Okay, nice, I wish you luck. Honestly, I appreciate your problematic, that actually means the world to me. And guys, if I do sound kind of gloomy or like dead today, it is because I am pretty much kind of sleepy and I do need to, whatchamacallit, complete some assignments too, so maybe I might try to complete this mini project as well, and then I might end the stream. Or if I could not complete this, I will be working on this mini project next stream as well, because I do have like a bunch of assignments to work on. Okay, that's an excellent. You just learned dynamic spawning, storing references in TArray, looping through arrays, destroying multiple objects, managing object lifetimes. That's real game development skill right there. The next project recommendations, I'll give you projects that I'll give you projects that build on what you know, but add one new concept each time. That's actually pretty cool. Have you ever created a AI agent? Honestly, I have not, because initially when I started this series that I'm currently on, which is programmed for like 250 series, my goal was to make a game in general that consists of AI logic in it. So I thought I would be actually creating game characters or like NPCs that had the minds of like generative AI type stuff. But many of you guys did tell me that there's like a huge difference between like game AI and like generative AI, and they're like not the same thing. But by the time I figured out the difference, I was, I think, like 60-ish days in my program for like 250 series. So I thought there is no way I can like back out the series. So I thought might as well complete this entire series, and then next series, spoilers alert, guys, I might try to might try working on making a generative AI type stuff. Because in case you guys didn't know, I don't like software development that much, like making games and all that. Although that's the only skill I do know for the time being. Because when I had my Python for 100 series, which was like I think 100 some days ago, I think it was like a bunch of I think like 7-ish months ago. That's where I also work with. That's where I worked on learning Pygames using Python. My goal by the end of the 100-day series was to make a game in general. I did make a pretty good game that had like VFX, sound effects, I think like graphics as well. Like I think it was a 2D game though, but it was pretty cool. But my main goal by the end of all these series is to be an AI engineer where I could actually build AI type stuff. So maybe, spoilers alert, my next series might be where I actually work on making a generative AI. That's it, let's read the projects. There we go. Okay, project 2, color changer, recommended. Color changer, wait, I want to go with project. Okay, oh, I see. Okay, so you build spawn cubes, like press 1, 2, 3 to change the last spawn cube's color. So we will be using array here as well. Press R to randomize all cubes. Press backspace to destroy all cubes. I'm excited to keep watching and learning. That actually sounds so cool. Okay, why is this good? Practices arrays you just learned, teaches material instances new. I have not worked with material instances. Nichu might actually have to work with this. Teaches accessing specific elements in an array, not too difficult, but adds complexity. Project 3, simple clicker game, new concept, UI with C++. Okay, backend score tracking. What you'll build, click on spawn cubes to destroy them. Each destroyed cube gives you 1 score. This might be something that I actually know. UI shows the current score. The reason I've been holding myself back from learning UI is because I need to work on learning the blueprints as well. I might work on that like from next week on, because this week I do want to completely kind of master the basics of just the spawn logic and like some kind of game AI logic to it, for example, destroying if a certain condition is met, or like spawning new objects, making them follow me type stuff. And that said, Wise is good, teaches raycasting. I do need to learn raycasting. Hold up, might have to go with this in that case. Okay, spawns cube automatically every 2 seconds, misses 10 cubes, equals game over. Teaches timers, auto spawn, teaches UMG widget integration with C++, more like a game. Honestly, let's go with that. Let's say something like, let's say I might not work on changing the colors of cubes right now because I do make meshes and give them textures on Blender. That said, I do want to work on the project 3 where we were gonna use raycasting ... because I feel like raycasting is very important since we use it for our enemies to follow our player if we're in a certain radius, or also if we're working, hold up guys, there are so many typos, if we're working on making a FPS game. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and hit the send button, guys. It's still so annoying, like compared to ChatGPT and Gemini that I'm used to. Every time I click enter, I send my message. Here I gotta click my literal send button using my mouse. That's a perfect choice. Raycasting is fundamental. You're right. Raycasting is used for enemy AI detection, line of sight, FPS shooting mechanics, click detection, interaction systems, so much more. This is a smart skill to practice. Project 3 simple clicker game. Okay, what are we building? Cubes spawn automatically every 2 seconds. Click on a cube to destroy it, plus 1 point. This is more like the meat logic, like if you collect a meat or a meal from your level, that increases your HP. So raycasting might be useful in like so many different ways. If you have 10 plus cubes on the screen, equals game over. Press R to restart. I did work with that as well back when I used to make SDL games, or like Pygame games. Concepts you learn: raycasting from camera, click detection, timers, auto spawn, UMG widget, UI plus C++, game state tracking, score, game over conditions, step-by-step plan. Phase 1. Raycasting 20 minutes. Create raycasting from camera when you click. Okay, honestly, I might really work on raycasting next stream because it looks like a whole different concept compared to just game logic that I actually set this stream to be. So maybe I might watch a few tutorials on raycasting off stream if I had some time, because I do have like a bunch of college assignments and like an exam next week as well. So I might really watch a few tutorials if I have time, and I will be going over raycasting next stream because usually I prefer having like a whole stream where I start and then I end on the where I start a new topic and I complete it as well if I had enough time. So maybe let me actually tell that to Gemini. Let's go with something like, let's say, I think that I might work on the raycasting concept next stream because of 2 reasons. Firstly, I need to work on my college assignments and also study for an exam which is next week. And the second reason is that having a whole concept would be a pretty, let's go with something like PRETTY, pretty fun thing to work on a separate stream, since the goal for this stream was for me to be able to destroy the objects that I summoned. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And guys, I gotta work on my typos. Like I keep saying that, like ever since I started my programming series in general, my typo has been so awful. It's like I prioritize speed over accuracy. That's it, perfect. That's exactly the right thing you accomplished. Today's goal, blah blah. Let's go ahead and say something like, before I end the stream, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers? Question mark. Okay, let's see. And guys, I keep forgetting. I gotta stop hitting enter and hit the send icon. Where you from, bro? Honestly, I am like from abroad. That said, alright, one final message to your viewers. Hey Chad, you just You just watch something real today, not flashy graphics or fancy effects. You watched actual problem solving, your streamer debug pointer issues, learned the difference between classes, templates, and instances, figured out TArray management, built a complete spawn slash destroy system. That's what real game developers look like. It's not magic, it's understanding systems, fixing bugs, and building one piece at a time. Here's what matters: your streamers prioritizing correctly. School first. By school, Claude means college, health, and rest, then streaming. Okay, maybe I think the second should go in third and third should come in second. So it's mostly like college stuff and then streaming and then health and rest. Although I do get 8 hours of sleep every day. That's how you build a sustainable career. Burnout helps nobody. That makes so much sense, guys. Next stream equals to raycasting. That's when things really get fun, like clicking objects, FPS mechanics, enemy detections, all the cool stuff builds on what you learned today. To those learning alone, don't skip the boring fundamentals, pointers, array, memory management. These are the obstacles. They're tools. Master them now, build them later. Now go support your streamer, hit that follow and drop a like, and tell them good luck on that exam. Okay, what does abroad mean? Abroad means like Canada, US, and like all those outside places, if that makes any sense. That said, let me go to my main camera. There we go. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. If you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like, help my algorithm, share, makes you smile, and subscribing so your share on top. That said, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well. So if you guys really enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description. And you guys can get actually the link of my Discord or my socials through exclamation Discord on chat or exclamation socials on chat through my bio or the link in the description. And many of you guys did say me to start doing my outros a bit slow and like talk a bit slow in general, so I'm kind of practicing that as well. That said, I'll catch you guys like live stream or video. Peace.